I'm Dr. Mahammad Rafi, Associate Professor, Department of Cybersecurity at Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. Today I want to discuss about network and the programming and management subject, in which the topic is a server with multiple other clients. Here, in the basic model, client-server model, server handles only one client at a time. That means server receives the information only one client at a time in a basic client-server model. Generally, handle multiple clients would be the spam new thread for every new client other connected to the server. That means here multiple other clients would be the derived a new thread for the every new client that can be connected to the server. This server with a multiple client, this model is a very strong and not recommended because of various disadvantages in server with multiple clients. First one is threads are difficult to code and debugging, and sometimes they have unpredictable results. Overhead, switching of the context, not scalable for large number of clients. Deadlocks can be occurred. So these are all the disadvantages in a multiple other client with a single other server. Here, select. This method can be implemented multiple clients on a server. This select method, it is a better way to handling the multiple other clients is by using the select Linux command. This command, by using the select method, select function in a Linux, we can handle the multiple clients at a time. Select command which allows the monitoring multiple clients and which accessing the multiple files descriptors and waiting until one of the file descriptor and become the active. Whenever it is active, immediately which access the multiple files at a time with help of the select method on a multi-client server. For example, if there is some data to be read on one of the socket, which will be selected, will provide that information. These are the select the method which works like an interrupt handler, which gets activated as soon as any file descriptor which sends any data. Next, in data structure, now we are using the select method. By using the select the method, multiple data files can be retrieved. That is a FD set. FD cell file descriptor set. By using this one, multiple files can be handled at a time. That means that multiple files can be collected from the multiple clients. It contains the list of file descriptors to monitor some activities. Generally, 4 functions can be associated with the FD set. Here, FD set read file the descriptors. The first one, clear an FD set. Initially, we have to clear the file the descriptor set. That is file descriptor 0. Initially, there is no reading files from the clients. That's why FD0 ampersand which address the read file descriptor. Adding here by using this code FD set master socket at read FD, adding a descriptor to an FD set and removing a descriptor from an FD set. By using the command FD underscore CLR, FD underscore CLR master socket at the rate of now ampersand read FDS. By using this function now we can remove the descriptors from FD underscore set. If something happened on the master socket, then it is an incoming other connection. Here FD is set, that is a master socket, at the ampersand this read file descriptor. Here the reader writer algorithm is implemented on the server side. So on a server with multiple other clients, generally we can implement the reader writer algorithm. By implementing the reader writer algorithm, now effectively establish the communication by using the single the server and multiple clients. The implementation for server side, we have to create the two different threads, a reader thread and a writer thread. First, declaring the server socket an integer, a variable to hold the returns of the socket function. Int server socket equals to socket, so name of the domain, and type of the server socket, and protocol, which protocol you are using, IPv4 and IPv6. These two protocols can be used. By using these one here, now we can perform the server socket reading, writing the operations, the particular the domain, in a particular the domain we have to perform. So this is a server socket declaration. By with help of this server the socket only, we can perform the reading, writing operations on server side and client side. Here server socket. What is a server socket? Server socket descriptor. So it is a socket descriptor, an integer. It is a integer like a file handle. And the domain. The domain means it's one of the argument in a server socket. Integer, communication domain. Example, AF, address, the family, INET family. Address family, INET family, that is IPv4, the protocols now we can use. AF, INET 6, that is IPv6, the protocols generally now we are using in a communication. Here is a type is a communication type. Server socket, now if you take the server socket is a type is a communication type. That means now we are sending the information from multiple clients to single server, or from we receive the information from single server to multiple other clients. Here the transparency can be effectively done. SOC underscore stream, that is a TCP. Now for that, now the streaming protocol now we are using. The streaming the protocol is a TCP protocol. This is the protocol now we are calling it as a streaming protocol. It is a reliable protocol in a communication. It is a connection oriented protocol. SOC underscore dgram. Here it is datagram protocol. That is a datagram protocol now we are calling it as a UDP protocol. UDP protocol in a communication, it is a unreliable. Why? Because it is a connectionless as a protocol. Protocol is nothing but it is a framed with a set of rules and regulations. Protocol value for internet as a protocol, which is the 0. This is the same number that appears on the protocol field in the IP header of the packet. MAN protocol for more other details are the example. Here, after initializing all the necessary variables, binding the sockets. Binding means here after the creation of the socket in a communication, generally if we want to establish the communication from client to server, so you have to bind at the socket. The bind the function binds the socket to the address. That means which is binding the socket address and port number specified in address. That is a customer data structure. So in this the example the code here, the example code is given for bind. Will bind the server to the local host. Hence in address underscore ANY is used to specify the IP address of a server and the client. The function for binding is int bind. The arguments are int socket fd, constructor struct type socket address, which is a pointer type, and socket length is a length of the address, which specify the length of the address. That means length of the address means the length of the address at a server side and client side. Listen here. If it is the server is listen, then only the client will be connected and sending the information to server. Without the listening, we can't forward the information to server. It puts the server socket in a passive mode, where it waits for the client to approach the server to make a connection. Here is the backlogs now, which defines the maximum length to which the queue of the pending connections for socket file descriptors. It may be the group. Here, if a connection request arrives at a server side, when the queue is full, the client may receive an error with an indication of the E connection refused. Whenever the error is arised in a listening at server side, if error is arised, which server is refused the connection. When it is refusing the connection, that means whenever the queue is full, requesting queue is full, then it is refusing the connection. Server is refusing the connection. Int listen, int socket file descriptor, int backlogs. These are all the listening function. By using this listening function, now the server listen the request of multiple other clients. If if the server is empty, if it is free, immediately which accepts the request of all other servers and establish the communication from multiple clients to single other server. Here the approach server with the multiple clients is first after listening, which is accepting, then only establish the other communication. The approach is after accepting the connection to the desired port, receives an integer from the client that defines the choice of reading and writing. The choice one here with indicating the reading, choice 2 it is writing. Choice 1, choice 2. After successful receiving data, call for pre-thread underscore the creator to creating the reader threads and writer threads. After creating the reader threads and writer threads, the data flow can be done from multiple clients to single server. If you want to do the communication, we have to create the threads between server and other client. After successful other connection to the server, client ask the users for input based on the choice of the variable. Now, choice of the variables means reader or W, reading choice or writing choice. After getting the choice from the users, the client then send the choice to the server to call the reader or writer thread by creating a client thread for the request. Designing a concurrent the server for handling the multiple clients using fork function. That means multiple clients can be handled by using the fork function. In a server client communication. Client server model by using the fork system call which can handle the multiple clients concurrently. Fork call which creates the multiple child processes for concurrent other clients and runs each call which blocks in its own process control block, that is a PCB, process control block. Here transmission control basis client server model. One server attends only one client at a particular time in a basic server client model. But TCP server handles more than one clients in a multi-client on server model. Although we can achieve this using the select system call also. By using this the function select system call function, now we can achieve the multiple client as a connectivity to single server. Fork creates a new child process that runs in a synchronous with its the parent as a process and returns 0 if child process is created successfully. Whenever a new client will attempt to connecting to the TCP server, we will create the new child process that is going to run in a parallel with the other client's execution. Here is process ID of particular thread, that is a PID of a thread, that is a process ID. Data type will be used to holding the children process ID. For example, PID underscore T, that is equals to fork. And advantages. The advantages of using the process are easy to implement in a programming, doing for more complex tasks. So it is a implementation is very easy. This is one advantage. Multiple client server model implementation is very easy. It is unambiguous. Here second advantage means each child process, that is a client process, now we are calling it as a child process. Each child process runs independently and is unable to read write other clients data. The server behaves as it has only one client is connected to it. The children the process need not care about other incoming other connections or running off the parallel child the processes. Individually, the clients are running and sending the information to the server. Now, here is the server. It is the field. It is a like it has a the communicating with a single other client. But here the multiple clients can be connected by using the fork function. One by one, that can be send the information. Here is the programming with the fork system call is a transparent and it takes less effort. Disadvantages of the multiple client on server. The disadvantages are fork is a less efficient than multi-threading because it creates a large overhead by creating a new process, but a thread is a lightweighted process that shares the resource from the parent process itself. Any operating system will need a memory sharing or synchronization. Linux operating system or Windows the operating system which needs the memory sharing or synchronization for cost for achieving the concurrency. That means the concurrency, in a concurrency what we are doing, multiple clients are running at a time. Parallelly, now we can run the multiple clients with the server. A simple TCP transmission control protocol client server application that describes the communication between the client and server. The server is a simple echo server that can handle the multiple clients using fork system call. Echo server means here which is whatever the message received by the client, the the echo server which is responding to the client same message. That is the meaning of the echo server. An echo server is a server that send back the same message to the client has sent the server. Like suppose if the server send the message as ABC, the server the client suppose the client send the message as ABC, the server which receives the message ABC and send back to the respond to the client as same with the same message, that is ABC. Again the server respond to client with the same message as ABC. Here is the socket of the programming. In this the client, multiple client on a server, the socket programming which help us to communicate with the various other computers, multiple clients running on the same network. In Java, socket programming can be either connection oriented or connection less. We will design the connection oriented application that uses the client server model. In the client server model, the server has a unique IP address and port number. The client always the client trying to make a connection with the server by using the port number and IP address. So the server listens and accepts the connection to client. Once the connection is built, the server can receive a message from the client as well as respond back a message to the client. Here is multi-client on a server can sending the message to each other. So we are by using the threads. The thread ensures that every client gets their own server socket. Here is the number of clients. Here is the sockets, server side socket, server maintaining the it is connected the sockets, that socket name is a server socket, and client also which is having the socket, that name now we are calling it as a client socket. Here both the performing, the client first now which is reading the data or writing the data. Reading and data. First now we are sending information ABC message sending to the socket. The socket here with help of this the socket now receive the information ABC information from the client. So in echo server, if it is the server is the echo server, same ABC information can be write to the client. So here ABC information is written by the client, same information is write to the client. That means here now which reads the same information. Again the client reads the same information. So this is a multiple clients. Now we are using the multiple clients on a single server. And servers are simulates the acquisition of a 4 data channels which accepts the connections from any number of clients. So these are all the features of the servers. The accept connections from any number of other clients, that is a feature of the server. Receives the command such as stop and decide the channel from the client. Any channel can be desirable. Now the server sends the data to each of the connected other clients. Whatever the clients are connected to the server, now which is sending the data at a time now which is sending the data to the clients. Each of the client has receives the data they are requested. Whatever the requested now along with the acknowledgement, so the clients are receiving the data along with acknowledgement. And the client, each client is identical here. Here the features are, here is the number of other clients, client 1, client 2, client 3. Now all clients are the identical which are the communicating with a single server. So that's why we are calling it as a multiple clients on a server. Here the clients are connected. The features of the clients should be the connected and disconnected and reconnected to the server with very easily. And sending the commands. These clients are sending the commands such as stop desired channels. So these clients receives the data from the server and display it on a graph. You'll see the client server, the computing has a three components. Here one is a client server networking. If you take the server, this is one that manages the data or information in a database system. It may be the data, it maintaining the data of particular organization, university or hospital. If it is maintaining the data of hospital, now that server name we are calling it as a data server hospital database server. So it also takes the role of coordination or assigning the process when multiple client functions, which is very common in a client server computing technology. For example, the best example is a railway reservation. Railway reservation workstation, number of workstations that can be arranged in different cities. Hyderabad has a one workstation, Bangalore as one workstation, Chennai as another workstation. Here, all these the workstations that can be, here it is a one workstation, one, client 1, and it is a another workstation that is a client 2, client 2, and it is a client 1, client 1, client 2, and it is a client 3, client 3. So these all the workstations are located in a different localities. So it can be connected. So here it is arranged and railway reservation now, which this workstation is arranged in Hyderabad, and so this workstation is arranged in Bangalore, and this workstation is arranged in Chennai. Here different localities that can be running, which will be connected. Now if the client want to issue the ticket, it should be the connected to server. It should be connected to the central server, single server which is located in Delhi, So this is the multiple clients. This is the best example. This railway the system is a reservation system is the best the example for the multiple clients on a single server. Next, here is a client. So this is an application, or in other words now called as a front end, which is the user uses to the interacting. This is the interface through which the user provides the data to the database or retrieving the data from the database. Network. From the above here now we have seen that the client and a server are independent. But a link must be there that can be connected to the client and the server for this the application to the function as a whole. So this is done by the network. This act as a communication media between the client and server. Here it is a server or the process and a client or the process. Client server model, basic client server model. In basic the client or the server or the model. So in between this now it will be communicated through the network. It is requesting and replaying. So travels through the network only, request and replay. Information now which is requesting for information. If the information is available along with the acknowledgement, now the server is reply to the client. And the advantages of using the client or server the technology: cost effective, increased performance, easy of effort and maintenance. These are all the advantages of the client server technology. Disadvantages: here the disadvantages means here client server the computing is a cost effective. Why? Because which is including the number of multiple clients, and maintenance which is include users, developers, administrators to maintain the database in a server side and so on. In a client server, the computing, it is not maintained centrally, and the reliability is not much, which means if the system got stopped in between the the huge the applications, it face the huge loss in terms of the productivity and the cost. So these are all the disadvantages of the multi-client on a server. The client's responsibilities generally are which handles the user interfaces and translate the user request into the desired the protocol. Next, sending the request to the server. So it is which wait for the server's response and which translate the response into human readable result. Present the result to the user. You see the server are the functions now, which includes the listen. The responsibilities of the server are which is listening the client queries. Whatever the clients are requesting, all the requestings should be listened by the server and process the queries. The request, whatever the queries received by the server, that can be processed. Return the result back to the client. So these are all the responsibilities of the server. In client server, the interaction generally the user runs the client software to creating the queries, and the client connected to the server. The client sending the queries to the server. Next, the server analyzing the queries. Which type of request is received? Everything, each and everything should be analyzed by the server. The server which computes the results of the queries. The server sends the results to the client. The client presents the results to the user. Now, which is repeats as necessary. If it is necessary, all these steps can be repeated by the server. And this is a client server the interaction. Here it is a server mission. Now this server mission, the client. So it is a client the mission. Multiple in a multi client on a server means here multiple other clients will be arranged. So it is a simple client server the interaction. How the client is interacting with the server. This is the best the example. Here is the client now. The client and querying, asking the queries to server. This is the server searching from the database whatever the queries the client asked. So the query is the particular the query related to the query. The data is available on a database or not. Now which is searching, perform the searching. If it is available, the data whatever the query is asked by the client, if it is available now, the server is responded. The server is give to the other client. So like this now, the client or the server the interaction can be accomplished in a multi-client on a server. That means multiple clients on a server. By using single server, we can effectively establish the communication with multiple clients. You can send the data to multiple clients in a multi-client on single server. Here, for this now, the references are, these are all the references, Unix network programming, and Richard Stevens, and here the Subramaniam, network management, the principles and practices. So these are all the textbook for this topic, and these are all the reference the book and web references. These four are the web references for multiple clients on a single server.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.